want to welcome you to the 2021 TEA annual member meeting. My name is Chuck Fawcett, in case you don't know me. I know there might be a couple people in here I haven't had a chance to meet yet. Please come up and talk to me so we can get to know each other. This is the third year in a row that we've decided to actually feed all of you and caffeinate you, which is awesome because if I say anything stupid today, it's a nice diversion so that you don't notice it. Or maybe you'll just fall asleep. I don't know. Melissa? I think I'll give a round of applause for Melissa. A goal of mine from the very beginning was to be honest with you and to communicate better. And more often and more clearly as your TEA president. And we're facing some really tough challenges right now. And I believe the only way we can work through them is to work together and to do so in a transparent way. That's really been a theme of my presidency from the beginning. This has been a very tough and difficult time for all of us, and with an unprecedented amount of disruption in our industry, through our businesses and our personal lives. Many of you have seen your jobs shrink or disappear, or you've suffered from being trapped inside, away from friends, colleagues, and family. Others have lost friends and family in this tragic pandemic. We all have our own scars, but we also share a strength that has come from being resilient, from surviving and leaning on each other. That's exactly what the TEA is here for, to bring us together and to keep us together through these bad times. So when times get good, we can get back to celebrating our industry, our successes, and to the business of networking and forming those lifelong friendships that the TEA is known for. I want to take a minute to say how proud I am of our staff and all of our volunteer leaders for really rising to the occasion at such a difficult time. When I spoke to you 1 year ago, we just lost our staff leader, Jenny Nevin, and since that time we've lost even more. I'm grateful to our staff, old and new, hung in there, and through the tough times, Erica, Tammy, Linda, you have our gratitude for your service. And to our new staff, Terry, Barb, Morgan, Kristen, and Don. Just want to give you guys a round of applause. Thanks to executives for your effort and showing your professionalism at a time when we really need you. We all look forward to continuing to work together to build a better TEA, certainly. I'm also grateful to our international and regional board leadership and so many other volunteers who stepped up and filled the gap at a crucial time in our history. With all the other challenges we're facing, we simply could not have survived without you. You've been a voice of calm for our members at a time of great disruption, and you've gone above and beyond at a time of great need for the association. So, really want to talk about our sponsors and who really stuck with us through these tough times. Your financial support has been crucial to our survival, and we will continue to say that and find new and better ways for you to realize the many benefits of your TEA sponsorship dollars. And to our TEA members, to the over 1,600 member companies, and to the many thousands of individual TEA members, we want to thank you for your support and your ongoing membership. We're here to serve you, we're here to listen to you, and most importantly, to say thank you. You are the lifeblood of the association. You are the character and the color, the passion and the fire. And we would not be who we are without each and every one of you. I hope that all of you, staff, volunteer leadership, sponsors, and members can take great pride in knowing that you played a part in our survival, that you are the reason why we can now thrive as an association. We are truly grateful for that. So I'd like to take a little bit of time to give you a brief summary of the year in review. I started this year with a message of reinvention. And as I said earlier, the goal of establishing a more transparent form of communication comes from all levels of TEA leadership all the way down to our members. This was a way for us to start to build a positive culture of trust within the organization. We started with a series of town hall meetings where I asked the executive committee to join me in listening to our members. We received questions and feedback from our members that was at times very difficult to hear, related to inappropriate conduct at meetings. And I'm proud to report that those discoveries have now led us to putting a formal process, a safety plan, and training in place to address harassment and other undesirable behaviors at our events that is set up to be approved in December and roll out in Q1 of 2022. Obviously, that's just one example of a result of us really reaching out and listening and setting up that very honest discussion with our members. So please don't ever hesitate to step up and talk to us and tell us and give us your feedback. I took the initiative to step up my communication as your TEA president through regular written and video messages explaining what was going on behind the scenes, with a snapshot of the past, present, and future happenings inside the association. My hope was to make you all feel more connected, and I will continue to welcome your feedback anywhere, anytime. With the help of my executive committee, we were able to launch 9 new committees and task forces this year to address specific needs of the association and our members, as well as to tap into the energy and even more of our volunteer leaders. I want to thank the executive committee for all their hard work and dedication this past year. Can you please stand as I read your name? Phyllis Bruno, Nathan Jones, Ryan Stanson, who can't be here today, and Matt Hart. I also want to thank our immediate past president, Michael Blau, for always being there as a steady source of wisdom through these challenging times. Michael, please stand. Truly a dream team. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, I'm proud that we were able to deliver on the promise of a first-class series of virtual content, including the State Global Series, our 27th annual FIA case studies, and over 50 other virtual and in-person events, which help keep our members engaged and connected throughout the year. The TEA is a global alliance of members, and our regional boards have always been the best way for us to reach out to local members. This past year, we made a concerted effort to engage with our regional board leadership with frequent communication on issues that matter to them. I want to thank our regional presidents, Owen, who obviously is in China right now, can't be here today, Yale, Jeff, Trent, for participating in these very open conversations. Really. I think we're making significant progress in establishing the autonomy and coordination with HQ that our regional boards need to be more successful. So, job well done so far, guys. I'm also very proud to announce the completion of the legal formation and launch of TEA China, based in Shanghai. Yeah. And the task force members that participated are up on the screen today, so really can't underemphasize the amount of work and effort it took to really get us there. This is a major accomplishment for the TEA and one that will pave the way for us to become a truly global association. While there's still much work to do, the TEA has made history in this endeavor, and I want to thank our China Task Force and the international board members who came together to make this happen. Really great. We also finalized plans to expand TEA's presence in the Middle East in 2022, or we will, and continue to look at other emerging markets that will help us fulfill our global mission. So we appreciate all that extra effort behind the scenes to get us there. And I am, of course, extremely proud of the effort that went into the selection and hiring of our new TEA Executive Director, Lindsay Nelson, who is killing her to not be here today. I can tell you, she's wants to be here. We had a great time in Barcelona together. She's almost with new child, which will be exciting. She made jokes about, well, maybe I'll come down and check out, maybe there's hospitals nearby, and I can just have that as she's really terrific. If you haven't met her yet, you really need to. And my thanks and appreciation go to Melissa Rimino on the search committee for leading the effort to find Lindsay as well. Really, Lindsay joined us in June and hit the ground running with the launch of her 100-day plan and global listening tour. Lindsay and I hit the road together this summer, visiting members across the US and Europe, including St. Louis, Chicago, Orlando, Los Angeles, and Barcelona, with a simple objective: to introduce our new executive director to this dynamic and very diverse industry, and to listen to you as our members. What we learned is that while challenges are still huge, Our member optimism for the future has never been higher. I've seen Lindsay very quickly hit her stride, and I'm excited to see where she takes this association in the years to come. Truly am. You'll hear more from Lindsay in her own words a little bit later in a recorded message. In the second half of this year, the TEA moved full steam ahead with the resumption of live in-person events around the globe, ranging from Anaheim to Orlando, Paris, New York, London, and Chicago. Our Asia Pacific board hosted a leadership summit in Beijing, and our EME board produced a spectacular state conference just last month in Barcelona. I want to really give them all up. I can tell you, I, for one, have really enjoyed getting a pirate on in the sunny sun of Spain. Because we know how to have fun, right, guys? Really good times. It's really exhilarating to see our fellow TEA members in person now. This truly feels like the world and the TEA are returning to normal. The enthusiasm for online programming has not relented either, and both our in-person and online programming opening up many more opportunities for our members to experience the TEA has to offer. So thank you to all of those involved in creating such a wide range of rich programming, and in particular to our regional board members, our HQ staff, and the dedicated members of our Next Gen and events committees for helping us get there. Thank you for that. And finally, I want to update you on where we're at with our strategic planning process for 2021. Back in October, the International Board had the opportunity to spend 2 days in Chicago for an in-person strategic planning session, which was facilitated by Jim Mefford from Tecker International. We spent well over a year now working with the Tecker team to help clarify who we truly are as an association and what does our strategy need to look like moving forward. It was one of the most focused and productive meetings I have attended during my time at the TEA, and the input provided by all of our international board members. I feel like we're truly hitting our stride now and doing the important work that you elected us as your leaders to do, and I'm really excited about our future based on that time we spent together in Chicago. I also am excited to acknowledge our new president-elect, Melissa Rumino, who's in the room today. Melissa is too beautiful for school, so she had to wear sunglasses today.
It's bright here.
Yes, it's very bright in here today. Melissa was, you can sit if you need to. Yeah, thank you. Melissa was elected back in September to be the TEA's next international board president, starting 1 year from now in November of 2022. So you're not done with me yet. You've got another year to have some fun with y'all. I say y'all because I live in Nashville. So. But I look forward to working very closely with Melissa over the next 12 months so we can transition all the great work and changes that we started this year and pay it forward in years to come. So. Thank you. In addition to that, we just completed a very successful election season, and we're excited to welcome our new international board members into these vital leadership positions. But before we do that, I want to take a moment to thank and acknowledge all of our hardworking and dedicated outgoing board members. Thank you for your time and passion for the TEA. I'm going to ask you to stand up as I say your name if you're here today. Chris Ho from Chunlong, which I realize is not here today. Matt Kent from Scenario. Matt, are you here? And of course, Mike West, Innovative West. And now I'm even more excited to announce the election results for the new incoming international board members. Again, please stand as I say your name today. For the international board, I would like to welcome Marissa Blake. What you're getting yourselves into. I also want to announce that Anthony is actually going to be stepping into the role of our new TEA treasurer and joining the executive committee for his next term. I know Brian Sands can't be here today, but I want to take a moment to thank Brian for all of the amazing work he's done to help pull us through the pandemic, as well as ensuring that we remain fiscally responsible in how we manage the TEA, because it's been a tough year. Really just round of applause for that. We miss you, Brian. I really look forward to working with all of you and for the remainder of my term and of course beyond after that. So really appreciate it all. I also want to take a quick moment to thank, I mentioned that we formed 9 new committees and task forces this year along with our existing committees that we have. And there's so much effort that goes into organizing these committees and all the work that they do. And I want to just take a minute and thank our committee chairs for the time they've invested in the TEA and will continue to invest on behalf of our members. So David Ion, and if any of you are here, please stand up. David Ion, Adam Bismarck, Mr. Blake, David Fox, amazing David Fox, Pat Magos, M.K. Neely, Senator Condon, who chaired our minis task force, Brett Jackson, our events committee task force chair, Nathan Jones, our diversity chair, Matt Krantz, Luke Mayrand on our FIA committee, Clara Rice, who's doing a great job with our Rivino, Brian Sands, of course, and Mia Taitanen, who did a tremendous effort chairing our China task force last year. So we really appreciate all your time and effort that you put into the TEA. And now, I would like to hand the floor over to our new executive director, Lindsay Nelson, who I know is dying to be here to see all of you in person, but could not attend this week. Lindsay's going to share her annual report with you in a video message. Here's Lindsay.
Good morning, TEA members. It is my distinct pleasure to be here with you all this morning, albeit virtually, to introduce myself and share some exciting updates the TEA team and I have been working on the last several months. While I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you in my 5-month tenure at TEA, for those of you that I haven't met, my name is Lindsay Nelson, and I'm TEA's new executive director. I'm joining you today from TEA's satellite office in Chicago, my spare bedroom, as I am unable to travel due to being 9 months pregnant with my 3rd child. However, if there was not the risk of going into labor at any moment, I would certainly prefer to be there in person with you all today. All of us know that this past year has been challenging for our industry and for the TEA. The pandemic has persisted far longer than anyone could have anticipated. Projects have been stalled, international borders have been closed, and travel restricted. Events have largely remained virtual, and recovery has been slow. Now, overlay that with staff turnover and an operational overhaul, and you have a better picture of the challenges facing TEA in 2021. Despite these immense challenges, TEA has prevailed. Instead of slowing down, TEA accelerated transitions. The International Board leaned in and renewed their strategic focus and set their eyes firmly on the future. And this focus has set the direction for me and my staff as we set course for a transformational 2022. During the executive director hiring process, the search committee made clear to me that TEA had good bones and incredibly committed leadership, but that the organization was broken in many ways and in need of repair. They explained that the challenges TEA is facing were not the result of any one individual or action, but a series of factors and issues unaddressed and compounded over several years' time. So when I joined TEA in June, my mission was clear: triage immediate issues and develop a plan to address short-term needs while setting my sights clearly on the future. So, immediately after starting, I developed a 100-day plan to focus TEA's efforts in 3 key areas: staffing, member and external relations, and business operations. While I'm based in Chicago, I had the opportunity to make several trips out to the home office in Burbank, California. There I met with members of the staff one-on-one to better understand each of their roles and how recent transitions had affected their responsibilities and workload. Together, we identified what was working and, more importantly, what was not working. From those discussions, I developed an interim staffing plan, leaning on a firm I had worked with very closely over the last 10 years and in the last 2 associations that I had managed. IMN Solutions is a global full-service association management company based in Washington, D.C. With the help of their CEO, TEA's Interim Director of Operations, Barbara Myers, we dove in immediately to conduct a comprehensive staffing audit, filling critical voids in membership, event management, marketing communications, and corporate partnerships, resulting in the staff team you see here before you. Please take a moment, if you haven't done so already, to introduce yourself to Barb and the other members of the team on site this week. They are eager to meet you and learn more about you and your businesses and the themed entertainment industry as a whole. We also replaced another critical functional role in the organization when our longtime bookkeeper, Linda Ham-Conti, retired from the organization at the end of July. Following an extensive search process, TEA engaged the services of Shazen & Company, an outsourced financial services firm based in Rockville, Maryland, specializing in full-service accounting for associations and nonprofits. In the short time the Shazen team has been with the organization, they have helped TEA bridge the transition and build long-term capacity to manage our financial functions virtually. They also conducted an independent financial assessment of the organization, which provided valuable insights on TEA's accounting systems, processes, internal controls, and segregation of duties, all of which ensures that TEA is operating efficiently and in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. Through TEA's partnership with Shazen, we've been able to tap into an expanded range of financial expertise from CFO to clerk level, only using what we need when we need it. Over time, we believe this model will elevate TEA's capacities while reducing overhead. And last, but certainly not least, this summer we completed phase 1 of the business plan to establish a wholly foreign-owned entity, or WOFE, in Shanghai, China, and have the bank accounts, service providers, physical office space, and as recent as last Monday, staff members to help us get our operations off the ground. With the support of international association management firm MCI and their staff based in Shanghai, they will help us establish our internal member database infrastructure, member services department, communication channels, and membership and sponsorship intake forms. Their immediate goal is clear: help TEA communicate our vision for the expansion of the themed entertainment industry in China and start to recruit the members and sponsors needed to make that vision a reality. Now I'd like to shift our focus to what we've been up to in the area of member and external relations. In early summer, TEA engaged the When and How agency to conduct a study on member perceptions of TEA to provide valuable insights around identifying where TEA holds its greatest influence, to clarify what members see as the true benefits of TEA membership, and to provide a framework for repositioning the TEA amongst members in the market. This information was insightful in helping leadership prioritize our focus on areas where we have the greatest potential for influence amongst our membership. These included TEA's various award programs, including the THEAs and TEA Masters, programs that demonstrate our commitment and consistency within the industry, such as the annual publication of the TEA AECOM Theme Index and Museum Index, and next-gen programs. And where TEA can showcase unique value and authority, as is demonstrated by providing access to one-of-a-kind experiences behind the scenes tours, and connections to industry experts that only TEA can provide. We've already begun to use these insights to help us prioritize our focus in the short term, and in the long term, plan to use them to inform a broader member communications strategy. The other way we connected with members was by launching the TEA Global Listening Tour. Through this initiative, I've engaged with members around the globe, both virtually and in person, with the express purpose of establishing meaningful connections with members early on in my tenure as executive director. But more importantly, I wanted to listen to your needs and feedback on what we are doing well and how we can better serve you in the future. And I wasn't alone in this effort. I was fortunate enough to have TEA's board president, Chuck Fawcett, and president-elect Melissa Rumino to join me on many of these visits as a further demonstration of our alignment and commitment to putting members first. While we plan to continue this tour into 2022, since COVID interfered with us reaching more of you, I do want to share with you some of the feedback and themes that emerged from many of these discussions. First, TEA members are extremely passionate about TEA in the industry. This passion has sustained us through the challenging times and will carry us into the future. We also learned that there is a great deal of passion for workforce development, particularly around TEA's NextGen and DEI efforts. These are key programs that need to be nurtured and expanded upon. We've done so much, yet we've only just begun. We learned that we need to take an honest look at our brand and internal and external communication channels, including and especially our website. Our outward messaging does not accurately tell our story, nor is it accessible to all of the diverse audiences that we want to reach around the globe. While there may not be a one-size-fits-all solution to connecting our members, prospects, and stakeholders around the globe, we are committed to working with earnest to deliver the best possible experience when members interact with the TEA brand. We also received feedback that TEA has some structural deficiencies that need to be addressed in order to serve members more effectively. This includes taking a fresh look at our bylaws and examining possible new models for structuring the relationship between TEA and the regional divisions to ensure a more profitable and operationally effective relationship on both sides. Fortunately, work in these areas has been underway for over a year now with the commitment of the iBoard and our governance partners at Tecker Consulting. These topics were also a focus of discussion at the recent board planning meeting in Chicago last month, and will be further addressed later in the meeting by our international board president, Chuck Fawcett. And finally, in the area of business operations, we work to identify and fill voids in our internal processes, reduce overhead expenses, and implement new procedures and communication tools to improve our effectiveness. We transitioned disparate Excel spreadsheets into a cloud-based project management tool that can be shared amongst the entire staff and volunteer leadership, and that helps us to better understand and plan for the many events, programs, and services TEA delivers to its members throughout the year. We've implemented best practices, such as a new sponsorship form, and are actively working in collaboration with the events committee and division boards to introduce new event management processes that will strengthen financial performance, create efficiencies, and elevate the attendee experience. We added new communication tools like WeChat and WhatsApp to our repertoire so we can more effectively communicate with our members and the EME and APAC divisions. And on the topic of communication tools, remember that website I mentioned earlier? We have plans to make big improvements to that as well. But it's going to require a significant investment of resources. And before that, a complete replacement of the back-end association management system, or AMS. This AMS is the engine that drives the entire member experience in an association. Not only is it our member database, but it is the processor for all event registration and financial invoicing to members. It is also the gateway between the content we offer for free on the website and the content offered only to members behind the member firewall. Going forward, we envision it as a portal to a robust member community, connecting members in real time with a dynamic directory and chat group organized by special interest, where members can interact, share documents, best practices, and receive a continually refreshed feed of activity happening in the areas that are of interest to them. Prior to that, however, we've made progress cleaning up existing data and lists in TEA's various platforms and introduced preliminary marketing segmentation to ensure members are receiving only relevant information. TEA, like so many of your companies, have also had to grapple with how we reduce office overheads and adapt our work model to the needs of the post-pandemic, partially remote workplace, while still maintaining our culture and commitment to delivering a quality member experience and service. Fortunately, we were able to reduce our office footprint, rent liability, and other overheads in 2021. While our time today does not allow me to share all of the notable metrics and highlights from the year, so we did create an infographic to help us tell our story of 2021. While there were many bright spots, 2021 was a tough year. Membership is in a slow recovery coming out of the pandemic, and expenses associated with the transition to virtual events, coupled with lower registrations, likely due to Zoom fatigue, took a significant toll on the bottom line. With year-end losses projected to land around $600,000, we remain grateful to have healthy reserves in place before the pandemic. We are also grateful to our TEA sponsors at all levels. Due to their support, TEA was able to exceed its revenue budget and ensure a steady cash flow into the organization. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the work of Clara Rice and the entire sponsorship committee for stepping in to fill this critical need for TEA in 2021. You truly went above and beyond the call of duty as volunteers to help ensure the financial health of TEA this past year. I also want to thank my colleagues, the TEA staff, Terry, Tammy, Barb, Morgan, and Kristen, for their tireless efforts. You all did an exceptional job diving in with limited information and background, but with an energy and optimism to figure it out and deliver a positive experience for TEA members. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of you, our TEA membership. Thank you for sticking with us this year. While it has been a struggle, you see the value and potential in TEA, and so do I. We are at a pivot point now with our eyes firmly fixed on 2024. The target date we set for ourselves to be an effective, profitable, and growing organization that is embodying its organizational mission and vision for the future. I am grateful for this opportunity to be able to lead TEA through the journey ahead. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you all in person in April in Anaheim at the 28th Annual THEA Awards and Summit. Now, I'd like to introduce International Board Member and TEA Sponsorship Chair, Clara Rice.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, come on. I've been through RWS Fund Crew training this week. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. That's better. My name is Clara Rice. I'm the Director of Communications at JRA, now part of RWS Entertainment Group. And I want to thank you all for being here this morning as I begin the first day of my last year on the International Board. So thank you for helping me cope. 2021. In 2021, we reconnected, re-engaged, and reinvented. And we were able to do that thanks to our 2021 sponsors. So again, if you were a sponsor of any level in 2021, please raise your hand and be recognized. And one more time, I know Lindsay said it, but one more time for the folks in the back, we exceeded revenue projection in 2021. So that was So if you are on the sponsorship committee, please raise your hand and be recognized as well. Barb Myers for all of her support. She's been my partner in crime, so I really appreciate that. So 2021 was reconnect, re-engage, and reinvent. But I think you've heard throughout this meeting that 2022 is going to be the year of radical transformation. So what does radical transformation mean for the sponsorship program? It means that in 2022, we're not just logging transactions, we're building relationships. That is going to be the theme of 2022. How are we going to do that? We're going to be more efficient, more proactive, and more personalized. So let's dig deep into each of these. More efficient. We already talked about the sponsorship form. This is a system of accountability. What do we owe you, and what do we need from you to make your sponsorship possible? So we have that, better accountability. This AMS system that Lindsay discussed will enable us to keep better track of donor history, events you want to sponsor, and who's already approached you on every level so that you don't get bombarded. Metrics, who knew? Better metrics on attendance. Who's attending? What level are they in their career? Where are they from? You're going to have all this data so that if you have to report to somebody on how a sponsorship worked for you, you will have that information. You'll be able to see hard number ROI for sponsorships. More proactive. We're reaching you earlier per your request to make sure that we are hitting you in the right point in your budgeting cycle. On your table, you'll see the 2022 sponsorship prospectus. It's here now, not in the spring. This is very exciting. I am proactively meeting with the SATE chairs, the Summit chairs, the THEA chairs, and the China Task Force to identify new avenues for sponsorship, like subject matter tracks and interest-based offerings. Sponsorships are now available for the TEA Summit and for St. Europe in May, because those are right around the corner, so ask. We are going to reimagine the sponsorship committee so that they can become a true sales team, equipped with a kit of parts for traditional sponsorships. They'll become our ambassadors, which is also very exciting. And more personalized, introducing the Global Partnership Program, because we're all partners and we're all global. We have our premier partner level at $50,000. We have our new innovation partner level at $20,000, and our breakthrough partner at $7,500. We're going to keep the standard benefits that you know and love, like THEA tickets, SATE tickets, and brand recognition. But we're going to add radical personalization and flexibility. We're actually going to ask you what you want. You get to decide where you want your brand to appear. Are you interested in Next Gen? Maybe you'd like to be the presenting sponsor of a mentor program. Maybe that's right for you, or a scholarship program. Is Europe your target market? Included in your annual partnership could be a SATE Europe segment sponsorship. We are going to have individual interviews with each and every one of you who's interested in sponsorship to make sure that you are getting what you want out of your TEA partnership. So that's very exciting. Let's meet Don Kaiser. Don is not here, unfortunately, but he is our new corporate engagement manager. In other words, he is your concierge. So I am the lead up, he's the closer. That's how we're going to bring him on. I bring him in, he takes it from there. And he has been fantastic this week. So he's going to be the one in partnership with me, having those individual interviews with each of you to figure out what you want to get out of your sponsorship and how you can get maximum ROI for your marketing dollar. We're going to also form a sponsorship advisory council, which will be a focus group of sponsors for sponsors. So talk to me if you're interested in doing that. It's not a big commitment. We're going to meet twice a year, and we're just going to bounce ideas back and forth about how we can make the sponsorship program more meaningful. More efficient, more proactive, and more personalized equals radical sponsor program transformation. So thank you so much. I hope you will join in this radical transformation with us. Thank you for being on the ride with us thus far. And enjoy the rest of the meeting. I'm going to kick it over to Chuck, but thank you very much.
Hello, TA members and TA leaders. This is obviously Hi from Shanghai. As Chinese still cannot get a visa to enter US since COVID-19, so it's really a pity for me to miss our annual membership meeting this year. Firstly, I want to congratulate the success for this meeting, especially we are still suffering by COVID-19. 2020 is coming. There are so many memorable moments in the past years. From I took up the President of Asia Pacific Division in late 2019, we are facing a really huge challenge for the global entertainment business because of COVID-19. The whole world is keeping shut down again and again, especially for entertainment industry. Because of the better control of COVID-19 in Asia, especially in China, the entertainment business is covering really fast here. So in the past 2 years, focus on China market, bringing more business developers are the priority for our TA Asia Pacific board. We are so encouraged that most of the entertainment business runners here are still keen on improving their products and also provide high quality standard services to visitors. In the past years, there are some very important achievements. We finally registered WOFI for Asia, both in Hong Kong and China. We established a really close relationship with the local government and promote TA in China through online and offline events. Take latest events as example. In late September this year, we had a very successful event together with Beijing municipal government. We got more than 100,000 viewers that day. And after that, we got more than 260 media report about these events. In 10 days, over 60 million followed viewers. So for next year, I will still support TA Asia Pacific board. We will focus more on China market as well and keep bringing more big business runners and developers, then vendors to vendor members easily. To cooperate with really big associate on events and also push TA education and sit with strong partners. Though TA Asia Pacific had dropped 21 members this year, but we are so positive as China WOFI is ready very, very soon. So we already have more than 13 confirmed new members from China waiting to join in, especially some are really big LBE business developers, such like Sonic, who purchased the whole Wanda Group, OCT Group, who is the top 3 biggest theme park business runners in year 2019. Haichang Ocean Park, they are not in our TA list, but who are the biggest and has 9 ocean park already in China. More will open, like K11, who is one of the top mall developers in China and Hong Kong, and also Evergrande Group, who used to be the top real estate company in China. They are suffer with some cash problem, but they just get support from the government. Hope they can get recovery really soon. So for events next year, we can confirm that in March next year, one of the biggest tourism exhibition will be held with all provincial tourism government will be held in Shanghai. We will be surely partner with the organizer. And also we have more plans with private associate events like Triple River, Hunter University, and also government events as well. So for education, we plan to have cooperate with China's most biggest universities like Hunter University, Tsinghua University, and other 10 more universities. Also, we will focus more on next generation projects as well. I'd like to thank outgoing board members Wang Jing, the Vice President of Wanda, and also me as well. And also I'd like to welcome new Asia Pacific board members, Rick Bloom, and from Universal Studio Japan, Wang Yuan from Wanda Group, Osman Baik from Studio O. And also returning TA members are Gregory, Eric, KG, Arjun, and Mason. So for next year, we already get some really big potential sponsors for Asia Pacific at US dollar around $40,000 annually. Fountain Road and also GBA Cultural, Haichang Ocean Park are already confirmed. We are waiting for China office to have the final paperwork done. And also Panasonic is pending. At the same time, we get more than 10 sponsors. We call it smaller sponsors around the events at a level of US dollar $50,000 per events. So at last, let me introduce our next board president of TA Asia Pacific, Mia.
Thank you, Owen. And hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good time. It's such an honor to take after Owen. In the past years, especially the past 1 year, he managed to make such a difference to the TEA in Asia Pacific. This is a great place to start. And as we are all part of a long chain of happenings, I want to make sure that all of his hard work and all of the hard work of the previous board has not been in vain. We have a fantastic board now, committed and eager to bring IAAPA to the rest of the world. So, now that the world is opening after COVID, we really want to make sure that we will be part of the bigger TEA family. So, I hope to see you again, hopefully real life. Bye.
So Trent Oliver president, but really. Hello, pandemic president? I think I deserve that. I came in the end of 2019, I go out now. I think I earned that one. So they said a year in review, but seriously? No way. I think we have to talk years in review. Anybody remember 2019? And then Park Avenue. I don't think anybody's seen that very often. JFK, in the middle of a very busy Saturday. A hospital in Central Park, restaurants trying their best to stay alive, and hopefully everybody wearing masks. So the internet, well, we are. The Eastern Board, what did we do? Suddenly we're shut down, there are no events, we're not doing anything much except, of course, we go online, and there might be an open bar somewhere. But then we were thinking, what do our members need? What pain is everybody going through? And of course, our Eastern Board, which is a remarkable board, they started looking towards what people need. Dave Edmonds worked very hard on a virtual job fair when everybody's being laid off. How do we find ways to help people know how to look for work, what to do in the meantime, what could be an adjacent area where you might just make a living for a little bit. Oh, everybody's so talented and they're at home, and some of you are really seriously crazy. The things you do and make, it's like, seriously, didn't you eat ice cream and go to bed like I did? Show and tell, so people could show what they were making. And I gotta say, a couple board members totally put us to shame. They made humans. AJ and Cynthia. And if the guys made humans, well, seriously. So, we created, we advocated for, and we supported our members by creating digital mixers. We had games, we had holiday events, digital theme park exploration, book clubs, you gotta read. Regional business support, we got together hub areas and said, what's going on in your area of the country? Because Boston, New York is very different from Tennessee. We advocated for the leniency of member dues because a lot of members were just broke. We had outreach. We created a volunteer database thanks to the young ones that know how to actually do stuff with Google Forms. We started Slack. I hope you guys join us. And did anyone say hubs? We have a lot of hubs. We started reaching out all across America, well, the Eastern Board. And thank you to AJ. She has made this thing. If you don't see your area up here and feel like you need to see your area up here, you gotta talk to them. And then finally, we got to get back off our couches, back away from our computers, and get busy having some in-person events. We went to Kennedy, and it was fantastic. We went to Chicago, we got together in Florida, we got together in Milwaukee, I wasn't there, and we had great new leadership. Everything felt very refreshed, and I feel like we're on the right track heading out. But I want to say, I think we had an amazing board these last 2 years. And I want to thank you for the people who are stepping down because they have worked hard. Chance Barnes, and if they're here, stand up. Chance Barnes, Regina Buckley, Derek Hansen, Derek Kirby, Patrick Fleming, me, Dave Story, and Peter White. And now for our new Eastern Board members, you got a hard act to follow. Matthew, Shelby, I'm not saying last names in case I can't pronounce them, just so you know. Matthew, Shelby, Christina, Carolyn, and Molly. If you're here, stand up. And our new associate member rep to the board, Ariel Spencer. And everybody who gets to keep working. Greg, who's coming in to replace me. AJ, who's coming in to replace Greg. Chris, Cynthia, Dan, Dave, Dana, David, Denise, JJ, Jason, Kelly, Nicole, and Matthew. And despite the fact that it was a very rough couple years, and we did not really go to sponsors and say, hey, money. We had amazing sponsors that showed up nevertheless. All right, let's say I warned you. Introducing Greg Center. Don't ask.
I'll trade you.
Oh. Ooh. Wow.
I'm gonna drink
I
rum
got a
out of
murder
this.
Hi everybody, I'm Greg. And I'm here.
Gratuitous self-promotion.
So, as Chuck brought up, and I'm going to try and not get emotional about this. And it's hard to get emotional about a conversation that started with Steve Love. If you know Steve over at Universal, he's not an emotional guy. About 7 years ago, though, he called myself and one other person to his office, and he said, hey, all the engineers, they go to ASTM, we get involved, we set standards. You're show guys, what do you do? What can you do? So it set me on the path of TEA. I was going through some rough times then. I was in the process of a divorce. I felt like my wife got all the friends in the divorce. And I was trying to figure out who I was. And I found you. Joe, Garrett, Matt Kent, my amazing mentors, Chuck, Melissa, Trent, all the people at TA. I get to talk to a lot of people about what TA means. And we joke around about talking, eating, and alcohol, and I hate when I say that. But at the end of the day, TA is not just about us getting together. It's not just about educating new members or educating people who've been here for a while. TEA is about family. It's the family you choose. It's the family that you really travel with and you spend a lot of time with. And everybody in this room, we all have an amazing opportunity to be friends and mentors, to guide new paths into the industry, and really just be there for each other. And I can never repay Trent and all of you for what this is meant to be. So, Dan, Kat, Shelby, welcome. Go back and tell Steve that he accidentally changed my life. Thanks. Now, with that said, what is Eastern Board's objective moving forward? Well, we have two different things that are really going to be important to us. And as I've said, thanks to some of those who came before me and really mentored me, I want to say very specifically, a couple of years ago, Melissa, with Chuck and Trent, started the Hubs program. And what we really wanted to do with this is to make sure, and this is the goal right here, engage membership where they are, not just in Orlando, not just in Los Angeles, not just in New York. Engage membership where they are, and that's what we really wanted to take into the next level. AJ this last year has killed it with Hubs. So huge, huge applause for AJ. Unbelievably proud of the fact that you're coming in to be the vice president for Eastern Board and to work with me. I cannot wait to see what we're going to do. TEA and Hubs, specifically Hubs, what we want to do and what I'm going to ask all of you and challenge everybody to do is to not just look at the Hubs program and see if we are getting local membership to get together. I want to see everybody support that. But when you see a Hubs event happening, to go to that hub, to go and let the membership in cities that we don't normally go to, like when we were at Explorers in Milwaukee, and meet the people of Milwaukee, the membership, and let them feel like they don't have to come to Florida to be a member and to get a benefit from TEA. I think that's the priority that we really need to set first on East Board. That's what we're going to try to do. The second priority moving forward is we want to do quarterly tech talks, and that's just part of a bigger increase in educational programs. We talk all the time about educational programs where we're educating next gens or people who are in our industry and changing direction. But we also need to work on educating companies that want to grow. There are a lot of member companies that are out there, and what they want to do is become better vendors. And I think we have an obligation to them to help them figure out what the owners, what the operators, what the clients need to become better vendors. I think we owe that to them. I think the operators and the owners owe that to those vendors. There's so much work that is now on the horizon, and we need more qualified vendors to do it, right? Come on, right?
Yes.
Come on, interact. So to do that, we want to start off by having tech talks where we ask the owners, and I'm putting Universal on the spot because that's where I came from. I think that we need to engage them and say, hey, what do you guys need? Can we talk about the performance specifications? Can we educate people on what it is that you need? How do they grow to be a better member for you? So that's where I would like to start. I would like to engage Universal. I would like to engage every operator that's out there and say, let's start training companies to be better companies, right?
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. But again, I look up and I say, well, there's 3 things, and I said 2, but we'll go with that. Thanks again. I really appreciate you all. And if you didn't get the joke, I'm talking about it. I gave it an hour, and this is going to have 1 minute.
Everybody, please welcome Gail Portman, our community board president.
It seems like the scripting of our transitions and intros didn't quite work as expected, but whatever. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It is a pleasure to be on behalf of a European and Middle Eastern board. Hopefully, at one point in time, the EMEA board versus just EME, but we can talk about that moving forward. What did the last year bring? It really was a strange year. And to be honest, even stranger in Europe and the Middle East, because it wasn't one country, it was multiple countries, and changing rules, and changing critiques and politics, and which one is a good vaccine versus a bad vaccine. Do we wear masks? Do we not wear masks? Oh, you wear masks if you feel comfortable doing it, but oh no, don't have to, don't. Tons of mixed messages. Luckily, we had our board work together. Thanks. Luckily, we had our board, and we tried to figure out what to do, but they do say a picture is worth 1,000 words. In this case, a picture won't do it. We have to do a video.
We've been broken down, the lowest rung, and being on the bottom line sure ain't no fun. But if we should be evicted from our homes, we'll just move somewhere else and still carry on.
We've been broken down to
that, year and a half or whatever, we really had to focus on digital content the first half. There was just no way. It wasn't just about not traveling, across state lines. It was not traveling from country to country. So digital content was actually really interesting for us. We did a Eurovision thing online. We didn't believe that's actually possible. We played Among Us, and that was specifically focused for our next gen members as well. We did some webinars, seminars. We did a pub quiz, and many, many others. And the one key thing that we learned about this experience with using Zoom or Teams or whatever is that it really helped us to engage still together as a group throughout the region, in some cases more so than we would have anyway, because people don't travel as much. It also really made it possible for us to keep our next gen members engaged. They weren't facing the issues in terms of cost and travel and expense. And that was really important to us, and we're going to look at that more in the future. The other thing was, though, all of a sudden, things were opening up. And literally, guys, I'm talking like last June. So the whole year, we're sitting there, when can we get an event open? When can we get an event open? When can we get it? We have to consistently be changing the schedule and changing the budget and changing the location. And then all of a sudden, we could do things. And it was brilliant. It was fantastic to get people together. They're not here, any of them. Or no, Richard's here. But for those of you that organize in-person events, a big thank you. We did, Cynthia, the Annecy Film Festival was actually the first one we did. Yes, there we go. But we did get some done. The most important thing, though, is actually, wow, we're not only open, but it was international. We opened up to the rest of the world. That was great, because it meant that when we went to IAAPA in Europe, it wasn't just Europeans and Middle East. We actually had tons of people from the States, and we were so happy to welcome you. And we had a kick-ass mixer, and I want to say thank you again to HQ for helping us out with that, because we had to pull that together in 2 weeks. So thanks, guys. And finally, in case you weren't clear on it, the theme night at State was pirates. I know it's kind of hard to figure it out, but yeah. It was great, and the State year was a truly phenomenal weekend. I think everybody that went enjoyed it, and I have to say again, thank you for everyone who helped organize, and everybody that came over and crossed overseas, because it was a good time. So, what does that mean for the future, though? So we're kind of getting back to normal, we're not quite there yet. Well, one thing that Chuck mentioned already is that we did get the Middle East Task Force going, and that actually is really important for our growth, not just for us, but for everybody globally. Everybody knows that there was a big boom in Dubai and Abu Dhabi for a while. Look how Saudi is taking off. And that is a place where our members have opportunities, and we have got to get established there so we can build membership base there and do more things in terms of job opportunities for all the members on a global basis. That's underway. Goal this year, get it sorted. Right, Chuck? Okay. But we also want to grow more in Eastern Europe, and that's an area that's been sadly, I don't want to say neglected, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of effort there. And part of that is actually just reaching out more to our members. And that's what I'm talking about, the member outreach. We as a board think we know what everybody wants. And sometimes people come and tell us. Well, we're going to make an actual concerted effort this year to reach out to all of our members, and that's those are not that are based in Europe and the Middle East, and find out more about what they want, so that we can make sure that we're actually doing that, serving their interests. And then another area of real focus is going to be the hybrid events. And again, I'm not a techie. I'm really not. I'm very good at Excel. That's pretty much the most I can do. Clearly, I'm not a great presenter in terms of design and graphics. I mean, it's words. But the thing is, what we are all good at doing here is realizing what others can do for us and what we can do for them. And one of the things that came through, as I said, about Zoom, and the next gen really interested in, is that they've now stepped up. I have two members, next gen members, that have said, we're going to figure out, we're going to solve that problem. We are young, we know technology, we're going to figure out how to do a real hybrid event, where it's live stream, where people can interact from overseas, as well as actually live and in person. That's one of our goals. Hey guys, from the other boards, you want to work with us on that? That's great too. Yeah. Let's make it a team effort, but let's figure out a way to get it done. And another thing is also multilingual events, and that is clearly something that doesn't impact the US that much, but definitely impacts Europe. And it's not really fair that we call ourselves a global organization and do everything in English. So we're going to focus on that a bit more as well, and try to do some multilingual events with translation. Simply, we can use your help on that in terms of sourcing some if necessary. But that is actually a real goal. And then this goes into effect where I like to call the wider view. Yeah, geographically, language-wise, but also finally industry-wise. We focus so much on theme parks and theme attractions, but look, there are tons of industries that need our help. This year, luckily, we were finally able to negotiate a one-year agreement with NAPIC, which is a huge retail and commercial development international conference that's held in France every year. And we all know retail needs help. So we are actually going to be there, and we are presenting in a session that's going to be going beyond that as well. And that means that we can actually raise awareness of the Theme Entertainment Association, of what our members can do, and help other industries, even if they don't really know they need it yet. So that's going on, and we're going to broaden that base as well. Finally, we're going to really try to build up the ties between the next gen and the universities that are out there right now. It is slightly, again, more challenging in Europe because there are different university systems in different countries. So, but we're going to try to get there. We have a brand new member who's going to help us along that way as well. So what's coming up? Well, as I said, TA Presents at MAPIC and Leisure Up and Con. We have Christmas fixtures in London and Dubai and Amsterdam too. Sorry, that's a mistake. All happening in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have an event in Expo Dubai in February, linked with MINALAC and IAAPA. We are actually planning a weekend getaway at the Canary Islands. I'd like to come over and join us there. What are you thinking about February? And then a full behind-the-scenes tour in Futuriscope, most likely in June. Clearly, TA Tuesdays, and most importantly, we have St. Europe coming up again in Liseberg, which is going to be really cool. Please come over. And of course, still the planning stages, but you know, that's where we're at. Anyway, at this point in time, I actually really want to thank and say farewell to our outgoing board members. You guys have given a lot of effort and time and enthusiasm to the board. And IFAP, we won't be losing you. You're just moving to a different division. So, but thank you anyway. And if you are here, please stand up, and Chris as well. Where's he go? IFAP, Chris. And of course, Laura, Marguerite, and Aline, who could not be here, but all of you, thank you very much for your help over the past year. And then our new members, well, not all of them are new, clearly. Some of them are coming back for more. Paul, please stand up. And we also have David Camp has been re-elected again as and will continue to be our treasurer, which is very useful during this time of transition, that we have some continuity. Alexander Brzezinski, I don't think is here. He's here, anyway. Alexander, and then Vim, who's very important because he's tied in with the educational institutions.
Our nation wants more than just material wealth.
I am the first African American female pit crew member in the history of NASCAR.
Rise up,
So we had a pretty fun year this year. Gonna run through a couple of our highlights here. It was great. We had the first in-person event for the TEA after we sort of shut down for a year and a half at Knott's Berry Farm. That was super fun. They let us go on the new attraction. We did a great presentation. Chuck, thank you for coming out and welcoming everyone back. That was really exciting. We also, love to point out this, we had a great, somewhat hybrid event too in BC. Darren and Kelly put together this amazing event at Britannia, FIA award-winning Britannia Mining Museum. And we did, I'm showing here the in-person event, but we also did this, we did a virtual panel a couple days before so that many of you could join to learn about the whole attraction. And then a couple days later, they had an in-person event at the attraction. So that was really cool. We did a lot of educational content too. So big thanks to Walter Brennan for being the chair of our education committee. A couple of screenshots of what this stuff is. You can see the Mining Museum one. We did landscape architecture, the psychology of scare. That was really cool. And Jonathan Casson talked about IP. This all was really great. We got a lot of participants from all around the world, so that was really great. Again, we've all talked about why digital events are so useful, because we can engage so many members. I believe we also did the first TEA mixer in the metaverse. So big thanks to Tracy Balls for getting that together, and Lisa J and Michael Libby. But yeah, we had a mixer in the metaverse. Would love to talk to the other divisions as well about finding the best time, and we can do this all. This is a global thing that you can all join us with a headset or a browser or whatever the way you plug your head into your computer. And of course, we did lots of digital events too. We've talked a lot about this. This is great. We had lots of fun when we couldn't all get together in person. I feel safe about that. And then most recently, we finally got together again here at the beginning of November. This was great fun. Thank you all for coming out. We had a nice little get-together mixer at a brewery in Mid-City in Los Angeles. And one thing that I wanted to make sure to highlight that we spent a lot of time on with the Western Division was allyship training. We basically portioned out every month part of our agenda to talk about how to be better allies for all of our members. And here's a list of a lot of things we talked about. We had a member provide us with a presentation deck on trans allyship. So we were able to talk about how best to identify those people and say thank you and welcome them. We talked a lot about anti-racism. We shared free resources to create meaningfully inclusive events. We had a lot of really good conversations about direct member feedback. And so we were able to get together and talk about these things. And it was a good way for us to understand what the feedback was and how beyond our in-person events, our digital events, what we're writing, how we're communicating, and make sure that people do feel welcome. We talked about informed bystander and anti-harassment resources. We had a great conversation about diversifying our social media feeds so that we're not necessarily just consuming the same thing over and over again, that we're getting a little bit more to understand what all our membership, what the world has to offer. And I think we also talked about making sure we're using inclusive language. Because, finally, representation matters. It's a really big deal. We see it all the time in how much it is meaningful for people to see themselves in places of leadership or represented on panels or in educational settings. So this was a big part of what we did on the Western Board, and I think it permeated through our events altogether. Anyone that would like to follow up on these, if any of you want any of these resources, reach out, please come find me. Happy to share them with all of you. So what are we doing for 2022? We've got a lot of great events that are in the works, but both in person and digital. We are working to strike a balance of what the professional networking events, the socializing that sort of Greg mentioned, the community that we're always trying to build, as well as industry exploration in Western North America. We're going to continue with our education content. Walter's going to continue working with us on that. It's great. I love it. We'll, of course, advance our allyship training as well, because that's really important for all of our members to feel welcome and included. We always have a lot of stuff to do with the Next Gen. We love interacting with the Next Gen. There's a great community all across the Western Division that travels quite a bit for a lot of our events whenever they can. We're always welcoming to them. And like has been mentioned by Trent and the hubs and AJ, reaching beyond our largest metropolitan areas and making sure that we're activating the members really a little bit. I want to say thank you to our board members that are outgoing, Glenn, Stefan, Morgan, Ian, and Erica. Thank you all. And then welcome to our new board members, Brian and Raina and CJ. Awesome. And then our re-elected board members, Lacey and Jean. Welcome back. And then thank you to our sponsors this year. I really appreciate all your sponsorship, all your help. And thank you, of course, to the board members, all my board members that have been working really hard the whole year. I believe I'm throwing it to Chuck. Chuck's in the back. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to.
Thank you, Jack. We have some amazing regional presidents here, guys. Can we give a round of applause again? I know we're running a little bit behind schedule, so I'll try to be brief on my closing comments here. I'll give you a couple of words about where we're headed into 2022. What we hope to accomplish with the TEA by this time next year. 2020 marked, 2020 marked the beginning of a process to reimagine the TEA. Building upon the vision of the founders, learning from our experience over the last few decades, and transitioning to an organization that has a single global mission and strategic direction, that identifies clear and collaborative roles for all components and participants, that supports both business development and professional development, that provides creative and enjoyable experiences for all of our members, that communicates openly and clearly, that is nimble and adaptive to an evolving industry. This becomes our guiding principles for a reimagined TEA. As you've heard and hopefully observed, we began to build upon these goals in 2021. While the pace of our work was challenged by a pandemic and many internal transitions, we have in fact made some amazing progress. During our recent strategic discussions in Chicago, we worked with our partners at Tecker to identify a few structural problems that need to be addressed in our bylaws. These problems are preventing us from more effectively serving our members and have caused confusion for this growing organization, and it's now time for us to fix those once and for all. So that's a big focus of our discussions in Chicago. In the coming weeks, you're going to receive information about these structural changes in an email transition that will allow the TEA to be more nimble, more efficient, and to create new and better connections for you and to continue to grow. Those changes are a result of observations from past practices and identification of the most effective and efficient organizational structure. Our recommendations will come to you in the form of changes to the TEA bylaws. When you receive them, please read them, study them, and ask questions. Please take time to ask questions because we want your feedback on that. Some of those changes are going to include streamlining TEA membership categories and the membership process, because that's been a bit confusing at times, so we're going to really work hard to fix that. Updating and modernizing key governance structures, such as leadership development, the nomination process, board roles and responsibilities, and building in some flexibility to hold member meetings in order to improve attendance and engagement, because we realize this can be a little bit challenging trying to have a Friday morning meeting that's tied to IAAPA. And we are an independent association, and we don't necessarily need to tie our success to another organization as great as IAAPA is. So we're going to be reviewing those things and making some recommendations for changes. Your input and support of these suggested changes will help us to continue to transition to that more mature organization that we continue to talk about. So thanks for your feedback on that. We're also looking at new ways to connect members across the globe, including developing new ways to strengthen our student groups and outreach, supporting new professionals joining our industry for the first time, finding ways to bring small business owners together, which we're going to be launching some new programming as we get into 2022 to focus on that, and continuing to identify other key interest groups within the TEA that want to connect with each other. So I think we've been very focused on coming together, based on geographical regions. We need to start identifying, where those interest groups are and bring those sub-communities together, similar to how we're doing hubs. Expanding out those things, I think that will really benefit us as an organization. The TEA will continue to look for opportunities for industry expansion and partnership in a measured and strategic fashion, as Yale was saying, MAPIC and ASTM is another one on our radar, and other like-minded associations like SEGB. Those are key strategic relationships. We want to be smart about that as we move forward. We know that the growth of immersive experiences will continue in ways and places we can't even imagine today. We want to invest time and resources in opportunities that are likely to have the greatest impact, where we know we can be successful. That means we can't do everything for everyone all the time, so we have to be smart and strategic. So I just want to close by saying, we've gone through some really big changes this year. But along with those many changes, I do believe that we've built a culture of trust that I hope will one day to come. As we move into 2022, we'll continue our commitment to build a stronger TEA that helps our industry grow in ways that we can't even imagine today. We'll also continue to listen to you and maintain a culture of transparency in all of our communications with our members. And finally, before we close, I want to say thank you again for putting your faith and trust in me, in Lindsay, and in this first-class international board who represents you. So thank you for that. Here's to a much smoother 2022. Can we have that, please? And to the death to the pandemic, right? Can I have an amen for that? Yes. And for the TEA. Thank you guys so much.
Our nation wants more than just material wealth.
I am the first African American female pit crew member in the history of NASCAR.
missing you.
When astronauts view the Earth from outer space, they experience a dramatic shift in awareness. Their worldview and perspective changes. This is known as the overview effect, or OE for short. OE Experiences draws its name from this phenomenon because we deliver an entirely new vision to those we serve. OE Experiences is the world's only turnkey owner's representation firm that delivers processes and operational expertise combined with financing and fundraising support. We bring the biggest and boldest ideas to life. The OE Experiences executive staff delivers nearly a century of combined experience and expertise at the highest levels of themed entertainment, financial services, hospitality, and retail operation. And we have collectively managed more than 21,000 employees worldwide. Our only goal is to successfully get your experientially themed project off the ground and create a premium return on your investment. Guest expectations rise each year as new technology and products allow for increasingly customized and transformative experiences. You need a team that can guide your journey through a constantly changing market. And OE Experiences is recognized as the mission control to the world's most successful themed project launches. Strap in and let OE Experiences begin the countdown.